like that.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
You're listening to the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE.
Give me a hell yeah!
Now, let's meet the host. Kyle Gagliardi.
The face that runs the place!
Jim Tucker. And Erica Marini.
I'm the boss. I'm the blueprint. I'm the standard.
Well, I think we've had enough talk. It's time for the main event.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi, and one of my co-hosts is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Kyle? Glad to be back, and we are once again joined by the prettiest face on the pod. I don't think that if that was a Twitter poll, 100% to 0 at Erica_0328. Erica Marini. Sup, dog?
Sup, dog? You know, I'm pretty humble, but I have to say, I do think I have that one in the bag.
Yeah. Especially with our demographic, you are the demo god. In regards to that, yeah.
That's the only reason we brought you in as the third co-host. We're
Listen,
like, you know what? Me and Tucker, average-looking men. Maybe some would say we're handsome. I know Mister would say Tuck is. I think Tuck's handsome too, by the way. But
much more now compared to about 2 years ago.
You guys are babes.
Oh, well, thank you.
But one rainy day, we're sitting together at a table, putting our heads together. Kyle looks at me. I look at Kyle. What the hell are we going to do to grow this podcast? And we came to the conclusion. We just said we're not hot enough. You know what I mean? We're not.
Sex sells.
And then I was like, "You're right. We're not hot enough." And then we're like, "Erica,
you know what you need? You need a girl with a trucker mouth that burps and swears and talks about farts and stuff.
And
I know what
happens to watch wrestling.
Oh, right, yeah, that.
At a little
sometimes
went over in that category. So
you know what they say? There's an ass for every seat. So
right, you are. And I was going to say sometimes Erica's probably watching the most wrestling. I mean, we had that conversation a little bit in our group chat today that the amount of wrestling shows that we have gone to or are going to be going to in the near future, we have to be the most represented podcast out there that's not getting media credentials. Like
I
know.
We're all having hot Tucky summers this year. It's awesome.
And we don't have our MVM today, Ryan Vogus, and the chat is already very active. You have Robbie Collins saying, "Hello, guys. It's wrestling time." Steve from the SCW Wrestling Channel. It's that time of the week. How are we doing, everyone? We are doing fantastic. And hello to you, sir, there in the comment section. Tuck, why don't you tell everybody how your weekend was? We know you were in Las Vegas for Money in the Bank.
Yeah, anytime a show comes out west as a representative for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, we try to we do our best to send a representative to at least the big two, big three if we can make it. And I was able to venture down to Money in the Bank, and we had a great time. And I tell you what, the show benefited from. For me, I benefited from the show moving to the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Why is
that?
The venue works this way. Every seat is very close to the ring. And the fun part about it was, I don't know, looking to me, when I was there, it felt smaller than the Allstate Arena, but only 200 fewer people. So, and the next time if they ever run a show there again, I will be buying loge seats, the first 3 rows in the section behind us. So there was 1 row behind us, a walkway, concourse walkway to get to all venues, and then 3 levels, and those 3 rows were couches. So imagine 5 or 6 of us buying a couch, you know what I mean? And vibing. You had your own box, and your couch was separated, divided by separated to another couch. You'd have your own little booze box, and it was a great time, and the crowd was hot. So very, very pleasant experience at the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
And it's not like you got to witness a bad show. You got a pretty good PLE there. I enjoyed Money in the Bank, at least. Erica and I talked briefly before we started the podcast that there was just so much going on this weekend that we pretty much forgot what we did until we did a brief recap together. So there's just so much that happened this weekend. We don't need to get into it because there is a lot of wrestling to talk about. But we hope everybody enjoyed their holiday weekend here in the States. It was the 4th of July weekend, so that landed on a Monday, so it felt extra long, especially for those who didn't have work like myself on Tuesday. We already have questions rolling in. We definitely will get to that. Just wait there on that Theory winning Money in the Bank. But before we get into all the things that happened at Money in the Bank, we got to remind the listeners, Tuck and Erica, about our merchandise, and you can go to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. Get yourself some fresh merch. Go ahead and check it out. It's very simple to navigate. Show us some love. Show your support for the show. And we don't have any codes this weekend, but we probably will have one in a couple weeks, right? There's a show coming up, isn't there?
Well, we got Ring of Honor the week before SummerSlam too, so we might go Honor Slam.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Yeah, everything is so close.
I know. There's just so much coming up, and so much happened over the past week. Let's just get to the news topic that happened this morning that I saw on Twitter that really caught my attention. It's that PW Insider is reporting that Sasha Banks and Naomi have been internally taking off the active roster. Now, obviously, there's no word on if they have been released. We haven't seen a statement from the WWE, but inside the booking, the backstage, they say they are not on the roster, Tuck. So what do you think of this? Is this them just, being safe and just hushing them away for a little bit, or do you think they're on their way out?
Naomi's Instagram profile says professional wrestler. It no longer says WWE superstar. I think that's a point. I think that's a point to bring up as well. It feels like the wound is being closed, but it's being separated because the two parts are separating, by what I mean by that. So, I don't know. There's not a lot of room over on the other side, but it does benefit them because they're women. The women's division could use it in AEW. Who knows what's going to happen?
That's basically my thought on this. Is I really don't know, and this report could be fake news as well. We're not 100% sure if this is the case, but Erica, you got your legit boss shirt as you run away.
I know.
I have to hear your thoughts on this whole situation because Sasha Banks has been in the WWE ever since she started.
Yeah, the whole thing is still like wild to me. But I can't help but feel like I don't know. I don't want it to be true, but what was it, like a month ago, they took down their merch from the store. And I feel like that was just like super telling right there. And maybe I don't know, had to get to the point where we're at now. Like maybe they couldn't do something back then. And now, I don't know. I don't even know what I mean by that. Because I don't understand the linguistics of it, logistics.
Yeah. And like Robbie said, massive news.
Edit that.
We don't edit anything here. I hope Sasha.
We keep it real. We keep it raw up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Robbie says he'd like to see Naomi stick around in WWE though, because do something with the bloodline in the future.
I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shame to see those two go, especially Sasha. And that's not taking anything away from Naomi because she's super talented as well. But I mean, if you're going off the star value, that was Sasha Banks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We saw her rise from NXT to the main roster. And then for it just to end like that, with them having that situation backstage over the tag titles.
I can't believe that they would let them go. And listen, because they probably kissed ass for less. Not Sasha and Naomi. I'm talking about like the higher ups in WWE. And I feel like for two people such as Sasha and Naomi, like those are the asses that you'd want to kiss. Those are the type of people you want to keep on your roster and that you want to iron things out for.
And female minorities, right?
Absolutely.
Like if it was an over white dude, I wonder what the optics would be. You know what I mean? But as critical and as inspirational as they are to many fans, they can hit a demographic that Charlotte Flair can't, being
Correct.
Black women. And so that is another side of it that I think they're severely not addressing by losing the two of them. If they do, the other a fun fact for you: did you know Naomi has a better win percentage in WWE and NXT over Sasha Banks?
I mean, yeah, that is interesting. I can't say I'm surprised, but
she's 122 matches over 500, and Sasha Banks is 64 matches over 500 in her career. So little double up there.
And if they do go, like Kine said, it's crazy to imagine the women's division without Sasha and Naomi. It's two former world champions right there that any company can pick up. And you can spin the narrative however you want, but like KG14 is saying, it's a huge loss for the WWE if these two were to go. But time will tell, guys. We don't know for sure what is going to happen. We still haven't seen any official news from the WWE social media or anything on their website. So right now we're kind of just speculating, and that's all.
And again, time heals all wounds too. At the end of the day, Vince will put his business hat on and figure it out, because if it was that personal, how did Cody come back? So,
or might it not be Vince, because now we've got Steph in the driver's seat, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe that's why it's just internally they've taken them off the roster and they don't want to make an official statement or a move. And then maybe Stephanie and Triple H are the one trying to smooth things over. It's a good point there, Erica. But let's get into Money in the Bank. Obviously, that happened this past Saturday. And as everyone knows by now, Liv Morgan kicked off Money in the Bank by winning the briefcase. But let's talk about the match itself before we talk about her cash in that happened later in the night. Because the match itself, for me, at least personally, it felt kind of clunky, kind of slow. And I guess you could say maybe that's how most or some Money in the Bank matches are, because it's a spot fest, you could say. But I really couldn't get into any of this match emotionally until Liv knocked Becky off the ladder to win Money in the Bank. Am I alone on that take, or did you feel weird about this opening match?
I kind of did a little myself too. And I think, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I loved Raquel in that match. I should have loved Shotzi in that match. I feel like she's, built and born for matches like that. I don't know about Lacey Evans. I don't know. I just think sometimes you can't just throw 6 people in the ring with the ladder and be like, have an awesome ladder match. Like, it's not always going to work that way. But like you said, once there's a few spots with Raquel that really got me back into it. And then ultimately the end between Liv and Becky, that was,
Tuck, what were your thoughts on this women's match?
That match was ass. Shotzi falling through a ladder, trash. The botch with Alexa Bliss on her back. There are botches where spots look rough and you're like, wow, that person got hurt because of it. And then they were like, bro, you didn't execute at all. I understand they're tough. These are tough spots, but that's why they're being paid to perform and I'm not, and I paid to watch. But exposing my mother-in-law to WWE and this being the first match, I was very excited for it, and then I almost had to apologize.
And it's got to be harder for you personally being there in the audience in a match like that to kind of keep up with all that's going on.
Well, WWE does a good job with multi-man matches of kind of really keeping the central story in the ring. And I think that was the case here. Everyone had time and everyone had their spots, but Lacey seemed distraught after the match, talking to others about the heat that she's drawing, but she's polar, right? Like she's drawing heat. So turn her into a heel and let's see how that goes. Shotzi's just going to have to, take a breather a little bit.
So let's address that situation too while we're on this match. Like Robbie said, Shotzi got far too much abuse for that match, and she actually ended up deleting her Twitter account because of all the backlash she was getting, which obviously there's no time or place for that. If you're one of those people sitting behind a keyboard talking
go
to
fuck
a
yourself.
wrestler, go fuck off, like Erica would say. But I mean, in a way, they're not wrong. Like if you had to pinpoint somebody that had the roughest time out there, it's Shotzi, and not everybody's going to be perfect all the time. But this is something I didn't know. This is an interesting comment that Steve's saying. I don't know if you guys knew about this. Apparently, there were no rehearsal time for the women's ladder match. And he said it showed, sadly. The ladies only get these matches once a year, where men get them frequently.
That's true. That's a good point. I didn't know that either, but it makes sense. And then you're just trying to do the best that you can do. And sometimes it falls flat.
Yeah, and like Steve's saying, the ladies deserve more opportunities like that in these matches. And then they get that experience, and then it doesn't feel clunky like it did. But let's go past the match itself and discuss Liv Morgan, because obviously 2/3 of OTM, me and the lady below me, Erica Marini, predicted Liv to win, and that she did. And when she initially won, the crowd was very hot, at least coming off my TV talk. How was it there in the live audience?
Oh yeah, I think the whole stadium was behind her. It was pretty hot, yeah.
So that last spot, she obviously knocked Becky off, because Becky was the one I thought was probably going to win. She seemed like the favorite. She gets her moment, but right when she won, Erica, I was like, you know what? I really want Liv to have a lengthy Money in the Bank reign, because it seems like every single women's winner has cashed in either the night of Money in the Bank or a couple weeks later.
Yeah. And I think that she's wanted this for so long. I feel like a lot of the WWE universe has wanted it for her for so long. And I think rightfully she deserves it. That I felt the same as you. I hope that they give her the respect to don't cash in right away. You can have it. Let's figure out some feuds for you down the road, get some targets on your back and get some targets in your sights and, take it from there. So I was optimistic when she won, and I was just super, super happy for her. And I love, not to go off topic, but did you see, I love these now. Did you see the cut of Cole and Pat? Oh, we'll get there. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're jumping the gun a little bit. That's okay.
I get confused. It's okay.
That's okay. It's all right. But it looks like somebody else had Liv in their predictions as well. But Tuck, you might be in agreement here. I don't know if you dislike Liv at the moment. Kind saying I think he's the only one that dislikes Liv. But you really don't care for her character, correct?
I mean, when she went on the bump and they asked her what is going to separate her title run compared to other champions like Ronda, Charlotte, what is going to make her title run different? And her best answer is that people like her. What? So
not a good answer.
She's a people's champ. She's a champ of the people.
She seems like a fan that won.
Yep.
That's kind of the vibe I'm
some people's champ. Yep. So
also, hi, Mr. Vogus.
Yeah, look at that. At least one Vogus is in here. His son, the current reigning, and I would say defending but he's not here, is not going to be on the show tonight. But Dirk Vogus is here. And it looks like somebody else agreed with you, Erica, that the Cole and Pat video was great.
Yeah, I love those.
No, it was. And now we know that Pat McAfee got a contract extension. So shout out to him. I should say shout out, as he would say on the Pat McAfee show. It's a great re-sign there for the WWE. But let's get to that cash in itself then, because Liv Morgan obviously chooses to cash in on Ronda Rousey after she defeated Natalya. So for a second there, though, when the cash in actually happened, I thought we were going to get a failed women's cash in, which has never happened before, because once Ronda put on the ankle lock on Liv Morgan, I thought she was tapping out. I thought it was over.
Same. It wasn't my TV, but I would have put my foot through it. It just would have been a waste. And like you said, it's almost like a fan won the briefcase. And you just feel that in her. And I thought the same thing. I thought she's going to tap. I will say, I think I was texting with you, Kyle. I wasn't thrilled with the finish of how it happened. But then in that same mindset, what did I expect her to do? Kick the shit out of Ronda Rousey and annihilate her to the point of no return? No, she got the quick roll up. That's what it took to win. Ronda seemed all too happy to hand the belt to her. You know what I mean? So it was just, like Steve just said, it's win-win for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, but the cashing in on Ronda is something that I never would have seen coming, Tuck. That had to have been a surprise to you there at Money in the Bank.
Well, and this was one of the caveats of being live, not where we were at. It wasn't clear that she kicked her bad knee to force the roll up. So it looked like she just got a leg out of the way and rolled her up, like she had zero offense in. So yeah, we were surprised by it as well. But to her credit, what I tweeted about, this win puts her in elite company. It puts her in a category that you can't say for Ronda Rousey or Asuka or Bayley or Becky Lynch or Naomi or Charlotte Flair. She's in a category that she's joined by the likes of Natalya, Nikki ASH, Nia Jax, Carmella as champions with career losing records. So she's under 500 in her career, and everybody on the planet loves her. So that's just one of those things that doesn't hit with me. So
let's not bash Liv Morgan. She's also one of 3 people to defeat Ronda Rousey in the WWE. The first one that was not one of the 4 horsewomen. So that is a monumental cash in there.
With an asterisk, right? Defeated Ronda Rousey after Ronda Rousey had a match.
And there's no asterisks in the Money in the Bank. That's the name of the game. That is the gimmick right there. You got to take advantage, and that's what Liv Morgan did there. Granted, the babyface doing it is a little sketchy, but it was pretty cool to see that moment. The crowd obviously loved it. Twitter exploded. Everybody was tweeting about it, retweeting it, giving all the likes. And Steve saying not Ronda's favorite event. She has been cashed in on both times she has competed on this event as champion. Yeah, I believe it was in her match against Nia Jax in Chicago, and Alexa Bliss ended up cashing in that match. That was the other time that Ronda was involved in a cash-in. But overall, I mean, that's one of the most feel-good moments you're going to get all year, right, Erica?
Do you think, though, that the fact that she cashed in so fast, which I expressed, I don't like the fact that she cashed in so fast, because I feel like that's just a cheap little Nikki ASH type thing. Here you go, like just a pacifier. Here you go. You got your belt. Here you go. Good girl. We have nothing planned for you. You'll face Ronda at SummerSlam. You might win. You'll hold on to it for a handful of months, and then back to the.
Is that what you think's coming? Do you think they keep it with Ronda and Liv?
I do, because I think if they had something planned for her, it would be, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope I'm wrong, but I feel like when these short reigns are gonna happen, like you could see them from a mile away. I don't know.
Well, I kind of think that's what it's going to be. I feel like Liv is kind of going to be a transitional champion here, just a mini test run of sorts.
Is that insulting?
I don't think it is, because Big E kind of had the same situation, wouldn't you say, Tuck? He was sort of a transitional champion.
Yeah, and then he got shit on.
Yeah, it's because they didn't give him the chance, because you got to give these people a little bit of time with their run. But if you did do Ronda and Liv, how the hell do you book Liv Morgan to cleanly defeat Ronda Rousey? I don't think that's possible.
I don't know. So does Ronda win it back? And then that's what I'm saying. Like, I know sometimes I'm such like I'm so not jaded. I'm just very like, whatever the fuck the word is. Like, I would be insulted. Like, okay, you threw me an attaboy and you let me hang on to the title. You let me be like SmackDown Women's Champion for 4 months. Like, because you don't take me seriously enough to like either get myself over or to book me in a way to help me get over. Like, isn't that your job too? Like, I can only do so much. Ultimately, it comes up to the people that I work for to try to get me to my fullest potential and like to be the best champion that I could be by booking me strong enough. But like, you're just using me to get somebody else inevitably over. Like, I don't know.
I do think the moment did get Liv Morgan over even more, which like right now she's got to be that number 2 baby face probably in the main roster behind Bianca Belair, I would say. Is that a bold statement, or would you agree?
Yeah, I couldn't even think who you were going to say, but yeah, now that you
I couldn't think of anybody else, because there's like Charlotte's away and she's doing heel stuff. No Sasha, no Naomi. It's kind of like they're retooling the women's division a bit. And we will touch on a little bit of NXT women's action as well when we get to the Great American Bash. But Tuck, I know you're not thrilled with the Liv Morgan situation, but you're going to have to deal with it for a little bit, aren't you?
Yes. I don't know what else to say.
Hey, you know what? Like he always says to me, acknowledge her. Oh. Acknowledge your SmackDown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan.
Yeah. When she does something remarkable, I will.
Okay. Watch her.
Watch her indeed.
Yes, watch her.
Bold prediction. Steve saying Liv Morgan will retain the championship against Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam.
I mean, if they don't even let her hold on to it for a month, I will riot.
Ruby Riot?
Get it? Riot Squad.
Riot Squad. Yeah. I saw a take on Twitter. They're like, The Riot Squad's one of the most underrated factions in WWE history. I go,
bro.
Is it? Is it?
Adequately rated at best. Yes.
Correct. Like I was like Sarah Logan, not much to her. Ruby never really got anything going.
The crazy like concept and the sisterhood that could have been something, but again, they didn't do anything with it.
No, and the fact that they're all so different
it's
and
not
like
underrated. They were under booked, like under created, not underrated. Like underrated means you did cool stuff and people didn't like get the praise for it. That's underrated, not what the Suicide Squad was. No,
it was definitely a weird tweet. I was going to quote tweet it, but I was like, yeah, not today. I'm not trying to get into that Twitter thread. But I think one thing we all can agree on though was the match of the night probably was the Street Profits versus the Usos for the Unified Tag Team Championships. We've seen these two teams go at it multiple times, Tuck. Like these matches happen from maybe a couple times a year, but this one seemed to stand out above all their other past matches. Like this was a phenomenal tag team title championship match.
Yeah, this was the one I turned to my mother-in-law before as the Street Profits were coming out, and I said, this will be match of the night. You know, Bianca Belair didn't have an opponent that would have voted for a match of the night. The women's match had already happened at that point, and we saw what kind of car crash that was. And you feel safe. The men's Money in the Bank match could be great with the people in it, but you know what you're going to get with these two, and they always deliver. So the Usos will be at the house show in Reno. I'm looking forward to that. And Liv Morgan will be defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Ronda Rousey and Natalya on the Sunday Stunner in Reno, Nevada. So we'll see how that goes. Cool.
I wonder if that's a little preview of what's to come. Maybe they do a triple threat at SummerSlam, and that's kind of what they're trying.
I forgot. Yeah.
Natalya and Carmella were in the ring with her as well. So there are people, you know,
right.
So we'll see. But they got to get going.
Oh yeah, like what? 3 weeks away now.
You've got 3 Raws and 4 SmackDowns to fill up a pretty good card. The only thing they have right now are that men's title match, the McAfee match, US title. So like it's a thin card right now.
Yeah, and not a lot of time, like you said. Robbie says it's his match of the year, but with the Usos and the Street Profits. KG14 thought it was a 5-star match. And this is something that I was going to bring up that kind is commenting here from YouTube. He said Montez needs a solo run. Profits and Usos always deliver. The match was next level. The Montez Ford situation, he's obviously put on muscle. They've brought that to our attention multiple times on commentary. And they even referenced some cracks in the Street Profits. Like they've made note of that a couple times now during their matches. So
even on NXT last night, they talked about it. But here's the thing that's interesting to me. When like the match at Money in the Bank on camera, Montez was very supportive. He wasn't like, oh, Montez or Angelo Dawkins was talking about like your shoulder was up. I do. So, you know, we won that match and he was being supported, but it seems like the narrative among commentary is like they're having problems in the back, but they're very front facing when the camera's on as if there are no issues. It's kind of a confusing dynamic to me.
You're right. Also, Montez said, fuck.
Did he?
Well, when he was like yelling, I think
at the end,
the timekeeper or whatever, like
why the fucking match end?
Why the fucking match end? Yeah, that's what he said, and I like love that because that's just so like real. But also, I have a question, and you can call me naive. Why do they always have to have like a tag team have like turmoil? Like, can't it just be like, and I don't know how else you would do it. And I don't know can it be that like an FTR type thing where like Dax is going to have some like banging singles matches and like, that's just going to happen. And there's no explanation, but at the end of the day, they're still a tag team and they're going to have tag matches, and Cash probably is not going to have many singles matches. And that's cool, 'cause he's just part of FTR. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't always have to be like the dramatics of like, oh, there's bad blood, especially like Tuck said, in the ring, they're like still super supportive of each other.
Yeah, kind brings that up as well. Commentary is hinting at a breakup, but the chemistry seems no cracks. They had a cookout together. on Monday. You know what I mean?
Visually
It's
on
great.
TV, you can't
great
see
time.
anything. Like they're not accidentally hitting each other.
Yeah.
That causes them to lose a match.
Each other match. Yeah.
That's not happening like it is like with a Swerve Scott and a Keith Lee over there in AEW. Like that's the obvious cracks in your tag team. It's not. Street Profits are just verbally getting attacked on commentary for it, which is.
I hope they put out a statement.
Maybe they will.
You know,
a Montez Ford singles run would be fantastic because the dude's got charisma for days. But this match ended up making my match of the year list, so I'm at least going to have to go back, and when we do the OTMEs in December, I will consider this. But Erica, you got any other additional thoughts from this tag team match?
I loved it, and I also think and like the fact that the attention on Montez, I think, is making Angelo Dawkins step his game up a little bit as well. Like I think it was like the next night on Raw. So I mean, we're just now getting like the best out of both of them. So I can't complain.
Well, they need to bring back the Chicago Bulls inspired Street Profits jerseys and put them on the WWE shop. A, I'm tired of seeing the Miami Vice, Miami Heat version of that damn jersey. And B, I want to spend my money on it.
That Bulls one was awesome. That's the one you originally were tweeting about,
it's
right?
Fire. That fucking jersey is fire. It's so good. And they haven't worn it since, and it's not on the WWE shop. So I have to spend my money on other things. On the
dude, that's something I would have purchased with you for SummerSlam, and we could have been the Street Profits at SummerSlam.
For real.
Missed opportunity, WWE.
It could have been Bianca. Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
Come on.
The possibilities are endless.
She's wearing her Bianca Belair shirt to SummerSlam. That we were gonna have it, but you know that's why we don't get paid the big bucks. Now, KG14 talking about the Money in the Bank. Do you think Cody would have won if he wasn't injured? According to Fightful Select and talking with WWE Creative before Money in the Bank, someone from Creative said, you know, it's definitely not a show where Cody's winning a briefcase in a NFL stadium, but the show would deliver. So it sounded like the plan was for Cody to win the briefcase out of Legend. And they switched venues before Cody, debuted at WrestleMania. So that, that before, so that's a difference, but I think that was the plan that Cody was going to be the guy with the briefcase.
And Erica, to answer your question about why can't we just have let tag teams go their separate ways? Because it's the WWE way, like KG14 said, you just can't have a tag team stay together without a little turmoil unless you're the New Day. That's like the only tag team in WWE that I thought had like a respectful split. So
well, and the Usos have the brother thing too, right? And there could be super tension between those two too. If those guys broke up and had a match because the bloodline is crippling, and you have Jimmy versus Jey Uso. That'd be a hell of a co-headline.
They kind of teased it during the pandemic era when main event Jey Uso was getting all the shine and Jimmy wasn't buying into it. And they kind of teased it, but they never actually went with it.
And the only stinker.
You just say the words. Wow. I never thought I'd see that name on our comment section ever again. Look at that, Tuck. Quinny Gerard.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, in the flesh. Mustache Mountain, very solid. They had a great match at a takeover, and then went back to NXT UK, and I forgot about him. Honestly, that's
Wait, who is Trent? Who is Trent Seven dating?
I don't know. How am I supposed to?
But during the whole Uso Street Profit match, there was one guy saying, get another DUI the entire match. That was
like, wow, did you think of that by yourself?
The OTM douchebag of the week. So let's talk about the main event, people. Austin Theory, or I should just say Theory, ends up winning the Money in the Bank match. Somebody that wasn't even announced going into it. We had a lot of storylines going into this match that, we were buying into, and then they announced right before it starts, Adam Pearce comes out, and they said there would be an 8th entrant, and obviously it was Theory. So when that did happen, though, my initial reaction was like, oh, Theory's going to win Money in the Bank. It seemed way too obvious at that point.
That was not my initial reaction. The way I rolled that out to my mother-in-law was, wow, this makes a lot of sense. Theory gets thrown into the match to get more heat on him as being Vince's man, and he doesn't have to win the match. So whatever they had scheduled or anything, not a big problem at all. Theory gets in, has a couple heel spots, and it's just more heat to the fire. And then he won, and we might have been the first 2 out of the building. Maybe. Susie not happy.
It was like you at the Royal Rumble when Brock won. You just took off.
No, I was first one to the merch line to get Brock Lesnar t-shirts. Different vibe.
That's true. Erica, you're a fan of Theory. I want to hear your thoughts on him being inserted into this match and now Mr. Money in the Bank.
I think, like Tuck said, like when he came out, like actually to agree with the both of you, I thought that this meant that he was definitely winning, but then also that it was a great way to keep the heat on him. And I think he's just like a natural ultra heel. And he, on top of everything in ring, character wise, he just has a face that you hate and you love to hate it. And I don't know. And like Kine said, like, I do think he's a future. I know not everybody sees it. Everybody has their personal vendettas against the kid. I don't know if you don't like him because he reminds you of someone that you don't like, or he reminds you of somebody that you would go to school with and dislike. But outside of that, I think, and if you think he's a shitty wrestler, I have clips that I can send you. He's not. And I just think he needs to get over with this main roster. I loved him in the way. I think he was a great, sweet, dumb idiot.
That was my favorite version of him. Yeah.
Loved that. And then I really wasn't stoked when he came to the main roster and he was like Vince's pet and the whole selfie thing. But it's like, okay, like they want this kid to come up and immediately make a name for himself and draw that heat and draw that hate. And that's what they're doing. I know you said that he kind of reminds you a bit of like Baron with the go away heat. I just think he's, I think Baron, like I like Corbin in the ring too. It's just his character just is like so flat for me. Theory, you just want to like continue to hate him. I don't know.
Baron Corbin's character has evolved since then. I think it's a lot more entertaining than what it once was. But like the NXT lone wolf, and then when he initially got to the main roster, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting here from Theory. Because Theory, like you said, in the way was enjoyable.
When Baron Corbin's character matched like the title of his finisher being End of Days, like that, like shtick, not great.
Yeah.
No, and when he definitely needs to cut his hair, when he was like swinging it like in the beginning, and there was like he had like Homer Simpson hair. And it's like, all right,
wasn't an idea.
So my thought on Theory is, I thought about it a little differently. When you go on Twitter and you see those posts about like, we want younger stars and we want new talent, and then here's an opportunity and we get pissed about it. I do think he'll have a unique opportunity to draw Stone Cold type energy if he turns and opposes Vince McMahon and starts becoming a face going against the institution. Polarizing heat. I mean, Roman Reigns was a bathroom match a few years ago. You know what I mean? When he was being shoved down our throats. This seems intentionally being shoved down our throats because they know what kind of heat they're going to draw. And when he does go against Vince McMahon in some way and get shafted or put in a shitty position and he turns face, that's where you have everybody. And how old is he? 24.
I was going to say, he's like so young that he's
a youngster, and
he's the youth.
He would just be finishing his eligibility in college with all the COVID rules and shit. So let's get off his ass.
You get that 6th year of eligibility from COVID, but I don't hate the decision. I'm just not a fan of it. And like Erica said, it kind of gave me the early Corbin vibes. Like intentionally, I know what they're doing. He is drawing heat, and that's his job. He is a heel. That is what he's very good at. I just haven't been able to emotionally invest into him quite yet. And whether that be he hasn't had the right feuds, he hasn't had the matches, because I told Erica through text messages, I said, name one Theory match in WWE where you're like, yes, this kid is the future. Because I don't see it. I just don't think he's the star. To me, he gives me mid-card vibes. Not yet, maybe. I could be wrong.
And here's a question I have, because I don't know what was day one John Cena vibes. Like
That's what
I don't remember.
Erica probably would know.
Didn't live
he came
through
out. That was when he came out. It was like this. It was like punky, like better
Ruthless.
than you on the prototype.
Aggressive.
Like yeah. And I know that's like Theory's whole thing, but like, and I also know I'm very naive and delusional. And I thought EC3 when he was sitting on the shelf for like 8 months, I'm like this. Now they're just waiting the right time. He'll be back. He's got it. They'll get him. And like, we're here now and he's controlling his narrative. But like, I think that Theory, like, yeah, like you said, that'd be great for him to like evolve and turning against Vince would be like a great starting point. But to me, has early Cena vibes where like you come out thinking who you are just because you're jacked, just because you're handsome. You know what I mean? Like you're just whatever.
Steve's saying that Theory stood out to him first at Survivor Series last year because he was in the last 2 on the Raw team, and it felt there onwards that he would be a big deal.
Erica picked him to win the Royal Rumble, and we laughed at her. Like, you know, she's ahead of her time.
And now he is potentially a future world champion. I don't know who exactly asked it earlier. They asked, when do you think
that
he's
was
going
Kine.
to pass him? Mm-hmm. Kine mentioned that. Shout out to him. Do you guys have any early thoughts, or you think this might be a lengthy
I think
run
it's lengthy
with it?
For sure.
Well, here's my thing. He's staring right at a last man standing match between Brock and Roman at SummerSlam.
And he alluded to that match.
A last man standing match between the two of them. Very cash-inable, right? And with the way WWE used to, be in like the movie, like making movies long term, drawing out these stories, and now it feels a little bit like they're trying to make TikToks. So y'all are I'll just wait.
We're listening. They're trying to make TikToks.
Yeah, we're just trying to do the.
My eyes are on you, but I'm just high-fiving Kyle.
You're not though. All you're doing is tapping my belt.
Missing. Yeah, she was missing.
You were not. So
go on, Tuck.
We'll see. I hope they don't. I hope the Money in the Bank doesn't become a 1 month filler to get to the next show. And right now, I mean, both briefcases could be cashed in on, whether it's successful or unsuccessful. They could be on the docket and off the docket in July. And I loved, the Seth Rollins had to hold on to his. Carmella was toting her bag for almost a full year. They still mention it that you have 1 year to cash in. Maybe they forget. Liv did have a credible. That's actually a good idea. Ron, I thought it was too drawn out. I thought from a storyline standpoint, Ronda was in there for like 2 minutes before her music came on. But the thing with Theory that frustrated me was like all those dudes were qualifying for the match and he just got pushed in. That's a tough pill to swallow. It makes you kind of not like him, right? He's being pushed. So there are a lot of things that make sense. And from here, he's going to have the opportunity to cut promos and develop that character. And in a pro wrestling landscape without MJF right now, I'm looking for Theory to step up.
Yeah. And I think he will. And like what you said, that you think maybe he could cash in on the Roman and Brock thing. I'm hopeful that it's a lengthy run. And I think that I hope that they sort of play into that. And maybe because he is a chicken shit heel, I feel like he would be, to attempt to cash in, say Brock wins, Roman wins, it don't matter. He attempts to cash in, and whoever he attempts to cash in on is still like full of fuel and ready to go, and that he just sort of aborts and like gets the hell out of there. So I don't know. I think his character being the way that it is, it could go 100 different ways, and it could last the whole year.
And that interesting layer to the storyline where like he'll do whatever Vince says when he leaves Vince's office, and then he's out there on his own and he's got to figure it out. So over time he builds up his confidence, his character, he trusts himself more because he doesn't have someone pushing him when he's actually out there. Because again, Vince got Theory the match against Pat McAfee, and McAfee won. Right. Yeah. And now he's Mr. Money in the Bank, and we're supposed to believe that he'll be a champion. I don't think that should happen in 4 weeks. That's not a flip of the switch, but him being chicken shit fits that a little bit better, like the Seth Rollins ilk that I picked. I thought Seth would win, and he made sense. Also why I picked Becky as opposed to Liv. So we'll see.
Do you think there's any chance that, and I doubt it, but do you think that there's any chance that he cashes in the briefcase on Bobby Lashley?
No.
It would be a waste. I know, but I was just trying to think of something because he's already had that title.
Thought did cross my mind, but no, I think
it would be
higher, bigger things for Austin Theory. Though I wanted to get one more point in so we can move on to the next thing, is that we spent weeks, building to these Money in the Bank matches, having these qualifying matches, spending time on TV, SmackDown and Raw to earn the spot into the match. And then you have the guy that won who wasn't even advertised for it. And maybe that's just what they're going for. That's why they want to get that reaction out of the fans.
Hard to tell. It's hard to tell if it was.
Yeah, you really don't know. But it worked for me because I didn't like it. I still don't like it. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'm not shitting on Theory because there is potential there. It's just, for me, like Tuck was saying with Rollins, I would have liked to see where you could have done with that. I think there was just more entertaining routes to go with the men's Money in the Bank briefcase. But time will tell. And Steve agrees with you, Tucky. He said, great point. No one has had a star-making journey as Money in the Bank holder since Seth. In his opinion, he'd love to see Theory have the case until the last few weeks where the time is running out. Yeah.
Because that's when you start tuning in. All right, Theory's got a couple weeks left. We're heading into Mania, or we're closing on that deadline. I have to see if he cashes in on this Raw. Oh, he didn't cash in on Raw. Maybe he'll cash in on SmackDown. The interesting part is there's a lot of things you can do with it. I just hope I don't like first time champions with Money in the Bank. Like, using it to be a springboard has proven ineffective right now. Otis gave the briefcase away. Nikki ASH is still ASS, and now Liv Morgan, they're trying to establish her. That's a concern. That's a concern.
Yeah.
It's not like I wake up and I'm like, how can I hate Liv today? It's just she's not unlikable. I just don't like her.
You haven't bought in yet. You're not buying into what she's selling.
Yeah.
Again, make me feel like you're a threat to Charlotte, Bailey, Sasha, things like that, and have a better excuse than people like me. Like, that's if that's the only people like Nikki ASH for a minute too.
That's
why. I don't know why, but
I like KG14's thinking too. He should cash in on Drew if Drew and Roman were to happen for the titles, and say Drew wins that match. And he'd get massive heat there. And like Robbie said, if he cashes in at the castle, he isn't making out of the castle alive with the UK fans. No, there would be no way. That would be a great way to get some major heat there. So overall, though, Money in the Bank, very good show for me. I said it was about a 7.5. I probably should have given it probably an 8 because it was, slightly less than Forbidden Door for me. But I was sports entertained. What about you guys?
Yeah, about that. 8.
Yeah, if you get a match of the year candidate, that automatically boosts the stock. If the women's Money in the Bank match was executed how I thought it was booked, not that Shotzi missed a catastrophic part, but she missed some spots that should have been like non-factors. The running up the ladder and kneeing her in the head should have been a non-factor. We're only talking about it because it didn't go well. That's what brings that score down for me as well. But there were plenty moments, and according to Money in the Bank, merchandise sales up 95% compared to last year, which almost doubled it. The most viewed Money in the Bank in event history, and it was the second highest gate. So although they went from Allegiant Stadium to the intimate confines, this was the second most profitable event in regards to ticket sales that they've ever had too. So not a bad show. I just hope it launches into a longer play, whether that be Liv holding a title longer because she's already cashed the shit in, or Theory using the briefcase into 2023.
Tunnel vision, like with blinders on, like they're just like,
well, that was
immediate future. Like, let's not make plans. Let's just do right now.
Yeah, my earlier point was that they're not making movies anymore with these long-term stories. They're making TikToks, right? Like they're getting these short little stories and getting pops. But when you look at it, we crave for those smart callbacks, like the Edge vignette, which we don't know if it was Edge, but like that thing was picked apart in 20 seconds. The 8, 10,
Yeah.
11 thing from NXT, we love Easter eggs and we want to spend our time on Twitter discussing it, but then we have these short hits that are just like, you could have done so much more. So hopefully it's a springboard of sorts for both of them.
Yeah, and I want to shine light too on the men's Money in the Bank match because it was good. Riddle was outstanding at it. That Omos spot through the table was awesome. The crowd ate that up. It was a very, very good match. So I want to get that out of the way as well.
They protected Omos because they had everybody burying his ass and had to put him away. He just wasn't hanging out. So I thought that was smart too, because there were people in line thinking Omos was going to win. And I was trying to tell him, like, honey, like, no,
not up in here. He's just the big guy there for the big guy spots.
There was a lady with a Capital One WWE credit card. Used that credit card to get a floor seat, and now she's got bonus points. It's going to help her go to another show at some other time. And she thought Madcap Moss was going to win.
There's no way anybody actually believed that,
bro. Ask the MIL, because she was like, what if? But her point was they need to push younger talent. So she said somebody like Madcap Moss, when Theory wasn't in the match, maybe she would have switched. Yeah. Maybe she's, she was crazy.
Sounds
did
like
the wait? Speaking of the WWE Capital One credit card, did the crowd really like lose it?
My tweet blew up from that. Did you see it, Tuck?
No. What?
I said Alexa Bliss just took a popularity decrease on my GM mode, but it gained $10,000 from that promo.
What? Oh, with the credit card?
Oh my god! Yeah.
I was like, that
thing is still very that whole thing is very cringy.
Right away, you just heard boo when she came out with the. Nobody gives a shit about your ass.
Nobody gives a shit about your Capital One credit card, but then to like still be playing with that doll is just like,
it's weird.
It's weird.
I did see a grown.
I'm surrounded by wrestling figures. I get it, but like that's weird. Like
you can't get it on clearance though.
Roller skates. I don't want it.
Okay.
I got real teeth.
I got your address now. So
no.
Robbie, that's a good segue for our first topic here. As you can see, I changed the background. We're going to move on over to NXT Great American Bash that happened this Tuesday. Robbie says, #Team 2001 is the best team in the world. Don't at me. So let's talk about that match where Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez defeated Toxic Attraction for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships.
Okay, were they were both born in 2001?
Is that's their name? Is because
that's why that's why they're that. Yeah, isn't that crazy to think about that they were born in the 2000s?
I'm still in that spot where if you tell me someone's 20, I think that's like 1990.
Same. It's crazy to think that there's people born in the 2000s, isn't it?
2001.
I teach them.
Yeah, Eric, what were you doing in 2001?
I was starting my junior year. No, like I graduated high school in 2003. So
that would have been your sophomore year, end of your freshman year, start of your sophomore year.
Yeah, I was 16. I got my belly button pierced.
Hell yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't think so. But what I wanted to bring up about this match is the rise of Roxanne Perez, because this has been a very super fast shot to the top for her. Like just a few months ago, she was signed to NXT, and then she wins the NXT Breakout Tournament, and now she's a champion alongside one of her best friends, who now she's going to be challenging for Mandy Rose's NXT Women's Championship next week. Like this is something you don't see very often in NXT, because they'll showcase new talent, Tuck, but getting pushed to the moon this fast, they obviously are seeing something in Roxanne Perez.
Well, and hopefully they're putting their heads together and saying, hey, we got to change up the formula here a little bit, right? And what's the worst thing that could happen? I did not necessarily. I wanted Cora and Roxanne to win, but I had trouble believing in it. But I'm glad that they did.
I saw somebody, and I forgot who it was. We were talking about tag teams before. Comment that it's already showing cracks in this tag team.
Yeah, and there was a comment. Yeah,
was it? But is that because now, which I thought was like a little bit strange that Roxanne would say that, like, oh, now she's gonna cash in on Mandy Rose. I don't know if they would have like a double champ like that on NXT, and is that the Yeah, is that what you were referring to? Was that, or did I miss something? Because
no, yeah, that's the comment that you're talking about right there. That Steve said. If you're watching live, you'll see it on the screen right now. But yeah, I didn't notice that like crack between the two, but I guess it did happen because I was pretty excited to see that they won.
Stop doing this because it just.
Why don't you like that?
Because do you see me doing it like that? To me, that's what it looks like.
You're old.
When Cora
They're
Jade,
not.
fuck you. When Cora Jade comes out, she's like this. Like
nobody does that. Nobody does
stop. And then like, yeah.
They are now.
Roxanne's doing it. And it's like, enough. So that's my PSA.
The biggest takeaway I got from them winning is just that they obviously are the future. And I think WWE realized that now that you're seeing the stories with Naomi and Sasha, they could be gone. Charlotte and Becky aren't going to be here forever. It's time to start building that next generation of superstars. Paige just officially announced her departure from WWE yesterday. Like all these names that started a revolution are kind of slowly going away. And who knows how long Ronda Rousey's going to be there. So there has to be stars. Yeah. And I think what they're doing here with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez is that they are building the next generation, no pun intended, because she says generation of Jade here with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. So that was a pretty cool moment there to start off the Great American Bash.
It just doesn't work for me.
What doesn't work for you?
What kind said? And I get it. And I hated when Darby was like, "Oh, you're such a poser." And then when she came back and she's like, "Yeah, well, at least I don't rape people," like or whatever.
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. She insinuated that.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Go Cora," but then like seeing her like just, I don't know. It just seems like very. Listen, I was probably her age in like the early 2000s, and that's when girls were like doing shit like this. And like and that was like emo, and everyone's getting their stupid like lip pierced with like their hair, and like everyone was like so much more extreme than like the other. And then there was like me, and I hated all of them. And that's like what she's like reminding me of. Like, just don't. If like that's not you, it's not you. Like, you don't see Shotzi doing it, and Shotzi would eat Cora Jade for breakfast. You know.
I think you're just nitpicking stuff at this point.
I like what I like, and
that's NXT 2.0 though. They're very corny with their gimmicks and stuff. So I guess
that is an excellent point.
Yeah, it kind of fits that. But let's talk about a little bit of other things that
happen
here.
Horny.
Corny and horny. NXT 2.0. Carmelo Hayes, he retained against Grayson Waller. My only comments, and I talked to Erica about this as well, is that Carmelo Hayes is that dude. I cannot be more sure of a talent than I am with Carmelo Hayes. That guy is a star. A star.
I agree with you on that. I would also like to spend a second and shout out Grayson Waller because I thought it was a great match. You need two to tango, but Carmelo is that dude.
Carmelo is that bitch.
Grayson Waller is a good heel. Like, he's got a lot of potential as well.
And I like Grayson Waller in NXT. Like, I feel like now he's becoming one of the, not the pillars, because I'm not saying that, but like he's becoming
one of the faces.
Yeah. Like a go-to. Because since I've been watching NXT, there's like obviously no one there anymore. And I think like Cameron Grimes and Roddy are like the oldest, but I feel like Grayson Waller kind of like fits in that same little category with the two of them somehow. I really like him, but 100% sold on Carmelo. And I remember when he had the belt the first time, I was like, let him just keep like running through people. Let people keep coming in, challenging him for that belt, and let him just keep destroying everybody and just keep building him up. But yeah, I don't know.
His entrance, his ring gear, even Trick Williams, being there with him, star written all over it. Like, don't fuck that up, WWE. You fucked up Keith Lee. You fucked up Karrion Kross. You've done a lot of bad things.
And they will, because now this is what I try to do. Picture them on the main roster. Picture them in like the big theatrical SmackDown stage with the crowd and the camera cuts and the lighting, and it's the two of them coming out. And I just feel like it would just like, what? Like that crowd. There's just such a separation between NXT and the main roster. And I say it every freaking time that's just what worries me when like people, especially people like Carmelo Hayes, get called up to the main roster. Cause it's like, you get these crowds that aren't watching NXT that don't know who he is, and they have to prove himself. But then there's a chance that he's not going to be booked correctly. So then they're like, it's just this guy. Like,
I'm just going to manifest good things for Carmelo Hayes because Melo don't miss. KG said Melo is money. I think that's already been done with Mela is money. It's Melo don't miss. That's basically what it comes down to there.
Melo don't miss because Melo is money.
Think about this in a few years. Carmelo Hayes and Theory duking it out. Like when you start looking, they're not that far away. There's good stuff there.
Also, what Robbie just said. Other way.
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because there actually have been reports. Tuck, you might have seen it. I think Fightful was the one that you want to address that report.
Well, there's just been rumblings that he might be getting pushed up soon in a bloodline related aspect. So we shall see how it goes. Fightful also reported on the Sasha Banks Naomi news just minutes ago. Fightful Select.
Breaking news.
It's not breaking news. They just wanted to declare that nothing has been made official on WWE's end. They've sent nothing out to talent or internally, indicating that both of them have been released. So again, just ripples in the water, just ripples, small bubbles, but nothing yet for that.
Love this comment from Kine. Definitely something I can get behind. Melo versus Theory is a future WrestleMania main event. Yeah, there's a lot of potential with those two for sure. Last thing I wanted to talk about, though, from the Great American Bash is Braun Breaker. God, I can't talk right now. Retaining his NXT title against Cameron Grimes in a solid match. But the main question that I have, and I asked you guys the same thing, is, I mean, what's next for Cameron Grimes? The dude's won North American titles. He's had feuds for the NXT title. Where do you go from here with this guy?
I don't know, and it makes me sad. And I thought, wait, he lost, right?
He did lose, yes.
I thought for sure when they were like bringing the dad thing in, because that's why I always had like a soft spot for him anyway, just because I'm a sufferer. But when he brought it up the other night, I was like, oh, this has to be it. Like, this is just super heartfelt. And then he didn't, and I don't know. Does it make him snap and his character changes and now he's not Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky to the moon getting money? Cameron Grimes, does he go to the main roster? Does he flounder?
I think the gimmick, the to the moon gimmick and all that, I think that would work on the main roster. That seems like something they could dive into, at least maybe on the humor side of things. And
he's got like the personality, like he's very
he's also underrated, I think, in the ring. I mean, he's put on some fantastic matches in NXT. Yeah. Tuck, do you think this is the end of the road for him in NXT, or are they going to find something else for him there?
And we've come to the end of the road.
I don't know that one.
Oh my God, Boys to Men.
Steve knows.
Boys to Men is before my time.
No.
Bro, set of pipes on them boys. They can sing it.
All right, Team 2001 up there, am I right?
Put Cameron Grimes on the main roster. He'd be great in the 24/7 title scene. We'll see him.
Oh, no.
No.
I don't like that.
Oh, no.
So do you think Ilya is back? He will go to 2.0? Yeah, apparently Dragunov's hurt. I'm not sure because they're bringing over JD McDonough, formerly known as Jordan Devlin. And it seems like McDonough is going to be next against Braun Breaker because he ended up JD McDonough. That's what they're going with.
Jordan Devlin McDonough.
Yeah,
Steve and Robbie get it.
Steve knew that song, but I actually agree with this take too from KG14. Melo greater than Braun. I'm more in on Carmelo.
I'm more in on Carmelo as well. I don't know if he'd beat Braun in a fight. I think there's the stock in Braun is too high right now, but I like Melo.
Yeah. So overall, I thought it was a good show. NXT, I'm still watching every week and I'm enjoying it. So we'll see where they go from there. But we're going to wrap things up talking about a few things that happened on AEW. Oh, look at Vogus popping in right before we go to our intermission here, before we get into our AEW Dynamite discussion.
What's everybody saying about the On The Mark podcast?
It's just insane, and I love it.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
Unlike any other.
It's a great show.
We'll be right back after a brief intermission.
All right, so let's get into it. Not much from the AEW Dynamite, but the big thing that I took away from it was the opening contest between Wardlow and Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. It was a no-holds-barred street fight. Wardlow finally gets his first title in AEW. This was a slow build-up of his character with MJF. Now he's separated from him, and now he's got his first singles championship in AEW. Tuck, you're wearing the Wardlow shirt right now. We gave him his praises on this show for episodes, and now he's finally a champion in AEW. How we feeling?
Before I give my thoughts on Wardlow, got to tell good night to Steve. It's 2 a.m. over there, so yeah, you need to get some beauty rest, my guy. For real. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome.
And I don't know if I could say it better than Robbie Collins. Wardlow is fucking massive.
Yeah,
that's it. End of comp. No, happy for him. You know, this is a newer, younger talent that they've built over time through good storytelling, and people have gotten behind him because he's an animal, right? So like there's rationale behind it. I'm glad this is a great start for him, that he wasn't flung into the title scene. He can run shit with the TNT title. He doesn't need the world heavyweight title yet. You know, have a lengthy Goldberg-ass run through everybody type run with the TNT title, and then have it make sense for him to go up that way, because it is still crowded at the top, even with the injuries.
Erica, this is, like Tuck said, something that we've been waiting for, and we finally got the payoff here. How we feeling?
And it works. Sorry, work texted. And it works. Like, I don't know if it's just like how they booked it, but I felt like the him and MJF thing never got stale to me. And then after MJF left and he was on his own, even when he was doing those matches against the security or against whatever, or how he had to fight everyone on
I don't know where you're going with this. I don't know where you're going with this.
Last night.
American Top Team.
Thank you. Yeah. It just doesn't get old because he, like Robbie said, he is fucking massive, and it's believable and it's genuine, and everybody is so behind him. I love the Wardlow, like Goldberg chants, like, or vice versa. I love it. And I think that this belt, he will put prestige back into that belt, because it kind of became a little
prestige
worldwide.
That's right. Whatever they do.
I want a long reign, because TNT title has been used as the television title, which is what it technically is. But if you want to add some more prestige, like you were saying, Erica, to that belt,
it doesn't need to be.
You have Wardlow do it for about 6 to 8 months, but eventually down the road, give me MJF versus Wardlow for the TNT title, because I mean, you have to assume that MJF eventually is going to make his way back to AEW. And there's no better feud to dive into than with Wardlow. The story writes itself. So congrats to Wardlow. That was an awesome moment. And good night to you as well, KG14. It is 2 a.m. where he is at as well.
You guys are nuts.
The fact that you stay up this late to watch three dudes, or I shouldn't say dudes, sorry, three people from the States.
One of the boys.
It's close enough.
Yeah, you're one of the guys. That's what I was just assuming there. So, yeah, Wardlow winning the TNT title, awesome moment there on AEW Dynamite. The other thing I just wanted to bring up is that next week they are doing Fyter Fest, and we are going to be getting a tag team championship match between the Young Bucks, Starks and Hobbs, and Limitless Swerve. This gives me vibes of a split between Swerve and Lee. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, because I don't see, and I felt bad that like Ricky went out there and just gave the promo of his life, one of them. I would love to see the belts on him and Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, but I don't know. I think the Bucks will retain, and like you said, I think there'll be something between Swerve and Keith Lee.
Who goes heel if they were to turn on each other?
I feel like Swerve. He's got that face. He's got that stink face.
He's got that energy. Keith Lee says greetings and salutations.
That's enough right there.
I'm like that's my only case, but I think it's strong enough.
It is.
Greetings.
If he was like a cartoon like worm saying that, I'd be like, oh, that guy's a dick. But like,
what's it gonna be like? You can greet these nuts now.
Yeah.
Like
salutation, my balls. Okay.
Tuck, you going with the Young Bucks retaining there at Fyter Fest?
Yep, going to be a great match. So Vogus asks, hopefully Mikey Wilson stepped up in my absence. Currently at 0 comments in the queue. Mikey Wilson shit the bed. So
I'm so ready to hand him that MVM too, and just
ever since Mikey Wilson moved to Texas, he's been obsolete from the live shows. But he does listen back, and credit to anybody that's not able to make it live every week because we all have lives going on. So I get it.
We shout out to everyone that has listened. Over 6,000 downloads. Got to tip our cap to that. Really appreciate that.
We did it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a round of applause here.
Erica has been a part of at least over 1,000 of those. We were under 5,000 before Erica joined us. So Erica, hats off to you as well. The family, the OTM family's growing a little bit. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Little bit by little, you know, we're getting where we're going. What else is growing is the amount of images that are done for my kids' book. So we're getting close. We're getting
You should draw Keith Lee Worm. That's a rude and very well spoken.
Greetings and salutations from Lee the Worm.
That's preposterous.
It's about food, though.
Oh, but the worm could get you to an apple.
Yeah, it's a.
We already had. No, that's the Mad Apple. We already have one of those. Still on the podcast live. Sorry.
Wow,
what's the worm that eats your food out of your stomach?
Ringworm?
Tapeworm?
It's
tapeworm. Long boy.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Kind. But we do have to shout out Kind. The first time being here and he loved it. Kind. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get the notification bell and things like that. Follow us at Pot on the Mark, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. That's not just for Kind, but for all of you. Be like Kind. I hope we're saying that right. Type of pronunciation in the chat if we are not even close. But you know how we do it.
We don't want to butcher our listeners' names. So yes, please let us know if we're pronouncing that right. But Erica, I know you wanted to talk about one last thing because in a few weeks we are getting another Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and I think you got some news to share.
Shake your money, make up.
I'm going to Ring of Honor. Thanks to James Tucker. I'm doing a lot of leg stuff down here that no one can see, but I know Tuck feels it.
Your leg energy's matching the shoulders there. Yeah. We're vibing.
Yeah. This is everyone join in, get some cardio. We're feeling it. Yeah, I'm going to Ring of Honor. Tuck texted me this morning, a pre-sale. I thought that they went on sale Friday. I was in between a house show in Connecticut. I was like, maybe we'll go to the house show, get a little lit, it'd just be fun. Then I was like, oh, this Ring of Honor show, maybe we'll stay home and watch it. And then Tuck was like this, here's the pre-sale. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, let's see what they're like. Downfall, no seating chart. Plus side, total ass. Plus side, I chose I said YOLO, said best available. Don't know what section A is. Section A, row 3, seats 8 and 9. I'll be there.
That's a floor seat.
Don't know, but I hope it's not like ramp because I don't like that. But I think whatever. See what it's like.
My guess is going to be A is right side ramp. When you're looking at the ramp, right side ramp, A, B, C. I don't know. I'm guessing, but not a bad seat in the house. They had the same ticket arrangement for buying your new tickets at the MGM for Money in the Bank. Terrifying. I always hunt aisle seat. I'll go 10 rows back to get aisle seats. We were 4 in. The 4 that were to my right saw plenty of my ass because I'm an active bathroom tripper, very active. As soon as the bell rings, I'm out, piss, back, booze. So we got kind of gridlock there as well. I'm a big map guy. I understand your frustration there.
Erica's going to Ring of Honor.
And I said, let me find out because it wasn't until last night. I was on the fence. It wasn't until last night when the Samoa Joe Jay Lethal match got announced, and I said, that's it. I'm there. I'm going. End of story. If they do meet and greets, I told Tuck, if they do meet and greets and Joe is one of them, you will see my soul leave my body. That is like 100%. My ultimate. Like, I can't.
Since day one, Erica has been on the Samoa Joe train.
I don't even know.
In our past podcast, she would talk about Samoa Joe all the freaking time. So I hope you do get the opportunity to do that. That would.
And I did. I've been practicing my conversation, my small talk with him, because with him, how do I not tell him that like what gets me through my like anxious situations is I go, all right, what would Samoa Joe do? He would walk in, he'd be cool as shit, and he'd be like, hey, here, schedule my flu shot. Like, that's the type of stuff I have to hype myself up.
We're gonna make a shirt for you so you can wear that WWSJD.
WWSJD. It's true. I had to hype myself up to meet Max Caster by saying that.
We also need to get the Bryan Danielson appreciation shirts online. Just a white shirt, Bryan Danielson appreciation shirt.
Yeah,
love that.
Well, I'll work on that.
Shout out to him. He upgraded from like a regular cotton shirt to a dry fit. That's respect. Now I don't know if it's from an earth point, like standpoint, sustainable. I don't know if those are more sustainable materials. No comment, but cotton comes from the earth.
True. Thanks. Thanks.
Robbie's saying, great show again, guys. Smashing it week in and week out. Robbie, no, you are smashing it, being
stack them.
One of our best listeners. Always interacting.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, whatever Tuck's saying, I agree.
A little heavy on the end there.
Kine, this is your first time joining the show, so let me explain to this. And if you're listening back and this is your first time listening, at the end of every single episode,
and you live in the United States of America.
Correct.
Also, for part of it.
We award a most valuable mark. You see the sticker right there on the screen that Tuck is holding up. It is the person that interacts the most. It provides the most quality comments in and out of each episode. And we are going to award a new MVM here on episode 102. Ladies and gentlemen, he tuned in for the very first time this week, and he won the damn thing. Your new MVM, Kai!
Very first time.
That might be a first, guys. A first-time listener coming into OTM wins the most valuable mark.
Awesome.
Very theory-esque. Very theory-esque. We're pushing younger talent. We're pushing younger new talent as well. So
that's a very good point from Vogus. Marvel movies versus me as MVM. Name a better rivalry. That's the only time that Vogus loses.
the only person that has defeated Ryan Vogus is a guy named Thor. So respect.
So make sure you're following us on Twitter. That would probably be the easiest way to reach out to you. You can follow us at Pot on the Mark there, or on Instagram if you are on IG. And then Tuck can hopefully ship that to you if you live in the States. You can put that sticker on your water bottle, a folder. I don't know. What do people put stickers on nowadays?
On your car,
on
your cell phone.
She goes to your head.
Like, if you're like a cardio guy, you can use it to cover up one of your nipples, so only one of your nipples gets chafed. There, you have options.
It happens to Tuck a lot, right?
No, I zero chafe nipples. I protect those things.
Nice.
I lock them up. I wrap them up.
Wrap it up. Band-Aid like Andy Bernard.
Oh yeah.
Well, now we're in 17 minutes in. What an episode it was. We talked a lot of wrestling today.
We went all out, someone would say.
Yeah, all out. We don't know where it's going to be, but we know it's going to be in Chicago. So that's that. Erica, any final remarks?
This is awesome. And wrestling is awesome. And then we have so much good wrestling, don't make fun of me, to come up in July and then like August, and it's just going to keep going.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I love this podcast.
Something just popped up on my phone. Something just popped up. I totally forgot to mention that I am holding 2 belts now for OTM.
Thanks for watching
the OTM PLE Champion
podcast.
He knocked himself out of the stream. I thought he knocked me out. Yes, I am holding that title with Ryan Matthews of the Pigskin Project. I don't want to take all the glory there, but Tuck was very confident that he was going to win that title, as he is hijacking it and you can't see it because he is off the screen. He already hid the title behind him. That's good that you're not showing it because it's not yours anymore, buddy. That's mine and Ryan Matthews. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
It will not be coming to Nashville.
Why not? I got to get a photo op.
Fuck off.
Oh no, don't you dare. Yeah, don't you dare. Because when I wanted to win
in
it.
The UK.
At StarCast for $20, you can hold a Ring Use Championship title and take a picture with it. And they got a bunch of them. I might do it. $20.
I would love that, and I would never give it back.
I got to meet Johnny Gargano again. That's got to happen for sure. But it looks like Kine lives in the UK as well. We're just bringing in the UK crowd, I guess.
I could tell. I forgot what word he said, but he spelled it R-E instead of how we would spell it E-R. And I said, I bet he's.
We'll just postmark it to Cardiff, Wales. He can pick it up at Clash at the Castle.
Can we give it to Boris? Sorry.
Who's Boris?
What's his name? Boris Johnson? What? He's done.
Who's Boris Johnson?
He was their prime minister, and they like booted him.
Are we supposed to know that?
No. No, we're not.
God.
No,
Okay, thanks.
Come on.
I thought she acted like that was common knowledge for people in the States.
No,
It is.
No, it is not.
Oh my God.
offense
And
to
of
those
course, it's
living
gonna
in
happen at the end of
UK.
the show when like half of our followers are from. I mean, half of our friends here.
I'm
are
sorry,
from
guys.
the
I
UK.
just don't pay attention to
Oh
what's
my God, and
going
he looks
on.
like Trump. He's messy. Thank you, Robbie. He looks like Trump. He's a fucking mess with like his messy hair. And I saw that Madame Tussauds in Blackpool took
that's our
your
homework
figure
for match of the week.
and put him
Oh no!
Oh no, we gotta
you just
go.
turned into a robot. Oh God!
Yeah,
Not
we
again.
got to turn. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week. We'll be back here on Thursday for the On the Mark Wrestling podcast. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Pod on the Mark, and follow the Overtime Sports Network at _OTSN. Is the Pigskin Project podcast happening after this show? If
It is happening at 10:45 p.m. Central, so everybody will be sleeping.
Enjoy your naps and catch the refeed tomorrow. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.